Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Chris's from Kitchen to Home. Today I'm going to be cooking a lovely main course with some pork belly, and I'm going to show you how to do it at home. So I've got some lovely pork belly here which I've soaked in cider overnight with some rock salt on top to toughen the skin. I'm going to put that in the oven now on about 120 degrees for about 4 hours. I have some broccoli sprouting, some baby carrots, some potatoes, some garlic, some small onions and an apple. Now I'm going to turn all this into a fine dining dish, and I'm going to show you how you can do this at home. But as I said, first get a nice piece of pork belly, soak it in some cider overnight with some rock salt, and then we're going to put that in the oven now on 120 degrees for about 4 hours, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay guys? Hi guys, okay, right, the pork is now in the oven. It's going to be in there for 4 hours, like I said, it's on about 125 degrees. So whilst that's happening, as I'm going to have plenty of time until I serve this, because I'm doing this for dinner tonight, and you know I've still got eight hours until I'm going to be sending it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all my veg ready, my potatoes ready, everything else ready to go. So all I've got to do is plate it. So I'm just going to peel the carrots. As such, like I said, it's only for me and the wife, so I don't need all the carrots. I'm only going to peel what I need. So as I'm doing a nice elegant plate, I'm going to do a couple of courses for me and the wife. I'm going to do 4 carrots. I'll probably only give us 1 each. That might seem a bit stingy, I know, but on the final dish you'll see why. Okay, so it's 3. That's 4. So that's my 4 peeled carrots. There. Excess ones I can use tomorrow for Sunday roast. I'm going to get some broccoli, some nice tender stem. I'm just going to break it down. Any trimmings I can use for soup or make another dish of that. I can make a nice broccoli quiche or something. Again, I'm just going to do 4, but I probably will only use 1 of each for the final dish. Okay, again I'll keep the rest to make something else. Okay, so I have my carrots, I have my broccoli, potatoes I'm just going to also quickly peel. And I think with this, with the pork, I'm going to do a little fondant potato. So that's just a potato that's cooked in vegetable stock and butter. Now, if I was at work, I'd cook it in thyme and rosemary and some garlic as well. But I'm just going to cook in a little bit of veg stock, a little bit of butter, and just make sure it's very well seasoned, just until it's nice and golden. Okay. I'm only going to do small baby fondants. So I'm just going to get rid of all this vegetable waste. Okay, I do have vegetable recycling, so I'll put it in my little bucket. And I'll just wash my hands. It's very important, guys and girls, please wash your hands. Okay, so what I'm going to do now with the potato, I'm just going to move this veg out of the way because I'm going to cook that in a moment. I'm just going to trim it down so it's flat. And what I have here is a cutter. Right, you can pick these up from most corner stores. You know, if you see these shops where they sell plastic containers, cheap chefs knives and tools and kitchen equipment and toilet stuff. A lot of those stores sell these kind of things, so that they're good for picking up things like that. Always good worth a look for. And cut the potato out. So it's a nice circular potato. Do the same again. Always be careful when doing this, guys. If you have to put a cloth over it, make sure you use a clean one, but make sure you don't cut yourselves. Sometimes it is quite hard to get the potato out. Now you can keep the potato, you don't have to throw it, you can put it and make it into a soup or something, or make some mashed potato, which you can do. So I'm just going to trim this one down so it's the same size as the other. And then I'm just going to carefully with a knife, a small knife, just trim the edges around about a 45-degree angle and just trim them down. So these are small fondants. They're probably about 50 gram in weight, I'd say. Okay. And again, excess potato I'm going to keep for later on. So there's my potatoes. I have my peeled carrots and my broccoli. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just going to turn my stove on, which I have here. And I'm going to seal the potatoes off and cook the veg. Also, what I'm also going to do is, sorry guys, just adjusting the camera, so I've still got a lot to learn doing these videos. Apologies for that. What I'm also going to do is make a celeriac puree, so that will also be on my list of jobs to do, and that will be coming up next. Okay guys, so I've got some boiling water here. I'm going to cook my carrots and my broccoli in this, and then once they're cooked, just before, not fully cooked, but once they're nearly cooked, I'm just going to take them out, put them in some cold water. So all later on I have to do is just flash them again through some hot water just to heat them up. Okay, so that'll take say several minutes. It won't take long, 5 to 8 minutes depending on the size of the carrot and the broccoli. Just keep an eye on them, make sure you don't overcook them. Right, in another pan, which I have heating up here, I'm going to seal off the fondant potatoes. So what I need is just a little bit of vegetable oil, just a little bit, not a lot, just to moisten the pan, sprinkle all about, and then I'm going to get the 2 potatoes, put them in the pan. Now ideally I would have some thyme in there and some garlic and so a little bit of rosemary, but I'm just doing a plain basic fondant potato today. Okay, so what I'm just going to do at the moment is I'm just going to colour those potatoes. Now what also is going to do is I'm going to do a celeriac puree, a nice creamy puree. So I have a nice celeriac, it's only 55p from a local supermarket, this one, and I'm just going to peel it. So always be, guys, always be very careful with your knives. So I'm just going to trim it down. Whilst this is going on, I'm still watching my fondant potatoes. I don't want them to burn. By the time I've taken the skin off this celeriac, we'll be ready to turn them over. See, they're starting to go golden brown already. So I'm just going to get rid of the excess waste of the celeriac. Put that in my food bin. And just chop this up into blocks. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put this into a pan and I'm going to cook it in milk and a little bit of cream and a little bit of salt. Still making sure that my carrots and broccoli are okay. Which they are, they're just boiling away nicely, as you can see. There's a little bit of salt in the water, but not too much. Celeriac I'm going to put in here. Just be careful of the celeriac though, sometimes it does get quite earthy. So my fondant potatoes are getting nice and gold. And what I'm going to do in a moment is I'm going to stick some vegetable stock in there. Alright guys, I've now sealed my fondants off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some vegetable stock. And I'm also going to put some butter in there as well. And the important thing as well, salt and pepper. I'm just going to turn my vegetables off. They're not quite done, but quite a bit of salt there, but just make sure you rinse that off, it'll be fine. Just turn the potatoes over nice and golden. Yeah, so I've just turned my carrots and my broccoli off because they're nicely blanched. Like I said, it doesn't take long because they're small, but I am going to reheat them later on and recook them. The fondant potatoes want quite a little bit of butter in there, and I'm just going to cook that down. As they reduce, the potatoes will cook, and then I will turn the potatoes over. Okay, with the celeriac I've now got that chopped into chunks, and that's in milk and a little bit of salt. So that is the vegetables cooking for this. And what I'm also going to do, I think I also do, is a caramelised onion. So I'm going to peel the onion. I want to keep it whole, I want to keep that shape. I want to keep that nice onion shape to go on the plate. So basic recap, I've peeled the carrots and I've prepped the broccoli, long stem, and I've just blanched that off in a hot boiling pan, water with a little bit of salt. Celeriac I peeled, I cut up into cubes, and I'm cooking that off in milk. That'll take around about half an hour. And what I'm going to do in that is I'm going to blend that into a puree. The potatoes are peeled, I cut them out, I sealed them off in a hot pan. I added about 200 ml of vegetable stock and about a third of a block of butter, and I'm just going to reduce that down until halfway, turn the potatoes over, and then I'll finish it off, and that'll take about 20 to 30 minutes I'd say, and then I'll put them in the oven for 10 minutes just to finish them off so they're nice and crisp, and that's that. So what I'm going to do with the onion now is seal these off in a pan until they're nice and golden, and then I'm going to flash them for the oven as well. Okay guys? Right guys, welcome back. I'm now, as you can see, I've got my celeriac puree on the go. My fondant potatoes are currently on the go, cooking there. Once that's reduced down, I'll turn the potatoes over and they'll go in the oven for 10-15 minutes to finish off. I'm going to be sealing my onions off to get them nice and golden brown, and then I'm going to slow roast them as well. Yeah, so that's my celeriac puree. There's my onions. And there's my fondant potatoes. My veg's been cooked and blanched and it is ready to be reheated. Okay guys, that's the next step. So my onions are now nice and golden, so are my fondant. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to cook the onions with the fondant. So I'm just going to scoop them up while that butter's still in there. We'll get all that nice, lovely butter all over it. Just a bit of a glaze just to help it colour. And I'm going to stick this pan in the oven and cook it between 10 and 15 minutes, and I'll give it a check. Look at that, it's beautiful. This is going to be a really sexy dish guys. There's potatoes, there's onions, the celeriac, the carrots, the broccoli, the lovely pork. What I might do as well is I might take the fat from the pork and make a crackling powder. It's going to be beautiful. Alright everyone, I'll show you the next step. Okay guys, I've now cooked my celeriac puree. It's nice and soft. It's been cooking now for about half an hour in the cream and milk. I'm now going to liquidise this. So I'll put it into the liquidizer. close the lid. Make sure my door's shut, as always make sure, you know, you don't make too much noise. I mean, at the moment my little boy's fast asleep, so I want to try and get the noise down as much as possible. I'm going to purify it. Give it a bit of a shake. When it turns into a very nice puree. Keep it going. We need to turn it up. You have to give it a stop and give it a shake. Or give it a stir, but make sure, guys, if you give it a stir that the blender is off. I always turn it off by the wall, because you never know. These things do sometimes have electrical faults. So, turn it off by the wall, and I'm just giving it a stir. Whilst I've got the spoon covered in the mix, I'll give it a taste, just to taste the seasoning. I could do a slight more salt, so dash of salt. Put it back on. Obviously, turn it back on by the mains. There we go. Now it's making a nice puree. Now if you're worried it might have lumps, what you could do is get a sieve in a bowl and just pass it through the sieve, but I don't think this one will. So it might take a minute or so just to blend down again. If need be, turn it off, give it a shake or give it a stir just to see how it is. As you can see, it is coming together. If it does need any more liquid or is a bit dry, you can always add a little bit more milk or a little bit more cream to it. Continue blending it. Okay guys, once that's done I'm going to show you then. Right guys, so my celeriac puree is ready to go. I've now taken my fondant potatoes and my onions out of the oven, so they're nice and golden and cooked. And there's my carrots and my broccoli. So there's my vegetables and potatoes and starch for my main course, the pork, which is still cooking. So I can refrigerate these and heat them later on. Obviously if you're doing a dinner party, it's best to do it beforehand, because you don't want to be in the kitchen all the time when you're supposed to be entertaining. So you can get this done prior, cook the pork, cool that down, which we're going to do, and press it and then cut it out, and then later on I'm going to reheat everything up and present it. And that will be the next step, and I'll show you guys that soon. Right everyone, my belly of pork's now had about 4 hours cooking time, about 4.5. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top layer of fat off. I've just taken it out of the oven, so it's nice and soft. I'm going to take the skin off and put that back. I'm going to put some rock salt over this, both sides, and I'll put it back in the oven so it crispens up, so we have nice skin, crispy skin. But I'm just going to, what I'll also do though is, all this white fat I'm just going to scoop off, so that will be a nice crispy skin. Okay, with the pork, what I'm going to do is put that into a container. I'll just put some paper over, and I'm just going to put let it cool down a bit, because it's quite soft. It's going to press it so it'll be nice and flat. So basically I'm going to let it cool down a bit. I'm going to put a nice little weight on it, plastic container, put a nice weight, doesn't about and for this maybe just, if I put 2 cans of soup on it, that weight should be enough. Just get this, and I'll just leave it in the fridge to press slightly for about an hour, just to cool down, and then what I'll do is I'll take it out and I'll cut it and shape it. Also what I'm going to do is get this pot here, the sauce. I'm just going to drain off all the excess juice. I'll put that back on the stove and reduce that down, and I'll finish it off with a little bit of veal jus I already have set, which I bought from Waitrose. You can just buy some from Waitrose. I could make myself a fresh stock today, but as it's only for 2 people, I'm not going to do that to save time. But I'm just going to reduce this down and add that to it. That'll make a nice lovely sauce. Okay guys, once that's done I'll show you the next. Right everyone, my belly of pork's now had about 4 hours cooking time, about 4.5. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top layer of fat off. I've just taken it out of the oven, so it's nice and soft. I'm going to take the skin off and put that back. I'm going to put some rock salt over this, both sides, and I'll put it back in the oven so it crispens up so we have nice skin, crispy skin. But I'm just going to, what I'll also do though is, all this white fat I'm just going to scoop off. So that will be a nice crispy skin. Okay. With the pork, what I'm going to do is put that into a container. I'll just put some paper over, and I'm just going to put let it cool down a bit because it's quite soft. It's going to press it so it'll be nice and flat. So basically, I'm going to let it cool down a bit. I'm going to put a nice little weight on it, plastic container. Put a nice weight. Doesn't bet. And for this, maybe just if I put 2 cans of soup on it, that weight should be enough. Just get this, and I'll just leave it in the fridge to press slightly for about an hour, just to cool down. And then what I'll do is I'll take it out and I'll cut it and shape it. Also, what I'm going to do is get this pot here, the sauce. I'm just going to drain off all the excess juice. I'll put that back on the stove and reduce that down, and I'll finish it off with a little bit of veal jus I already have set, which I bought from Waitrose. You can just buy some from Waitrose. I could make myself a fresh stock today, but as it's only for 2 people, I'm not going to do that to save time. But I'm just going to reduce this down and add that to it. That'll make a nice lovely sauce. Okay guys, once that's done I'll show you the next. Hi guys, welcome back to Chris's from Kitchen to Home, where I'm plate up a fine dining main course. Okay, so this is my pork belly that I cooked for 4 hours. As you can see, I've taken the skin off, I've re-roasted that skin, and I've turned it into some crackling powder, which I've just blitzed down in a liquidizer. So what I'm going to do this now with the pork belly is I'm just going to cut it, and I'm going to seal it off in a hot pan which is beside me, and then I'm going to tray it up and then warm it in the oven. So I'm just going to square these off to make a nice shape. Trimmings, you know, nothing wrong. If you want to heat the trimmings up as well, and they're lovely side bit to eat on the side. Because obviously I'm trying at the moment to make the plate look good. That's my main effort. But of course our extras, and you know, a lot of people think, oh, it looks a bit small portion wise, but all the extra stuff, like I said, you can put in a side dish and just cook it on the side of the plate, you know, another plate, and leave it on the side. So here I have 2 pieces of nicely cut pork, which I'm going to seal off in a pan so the top will be nice and golden brown. Okay, so I'm just getting my pan hot, and I have a tray lined with parchment paper ready to go in the oven. So as I said guys, I've cut it into 2 rectangles. I'm now going to seal that off in a hot pan to get some colour onto it. I will also put the trimmings on the tray to heat up the This is why I wanted them in bed before I did this. It's blurry. Why is it blurry? Stand. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut it into rectangles and I've sealed it off in a pan to give it some colour. I'm now going to transport it into another tray. As such, and warm it through in the oven. After 10 minutes I'm going to put the fondant potatoes and the onions that I cooked earlier on here as well to heat through. Okay guys? Okay guys, so my pork belly's been in the oven now for about 10 minutes just heating through. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to put the potatoes and onions on like I cooked earlier as well, just so they heat back through. I'll just put a little bit of butter on them just to give them a bit of a glaze. Remember, it's already pre-cooked, so it's just about bringing it back up to temperature. What we can also do is just maybe rub a little bit of butter over the pork just to give it a nice gloss. What I'll do is I'll rub a little bit more over just before I serve it, just so it's got a little shine to it, and then that can go back in the oven. You can check seasoning. And then my friends is ready to go back in the oven, ready to heat. Okay, whilst that's happening, I've got a pan with the vegetables in, a little bit of water, a little bit of salt and pepper, and if you want to, a little bit of butter or olive oil. Okay. Hope that was filming. Oh, shut up, Dylan. What, Dylan? Okay, fine. Come on, bed down. Okay guys, so it's plating up time, so I'm going to plate this up again. That's a black plate, my celeriac puree, just a nice quick smear across the plate like that. I have my pork, hot fondant potato, so that's 3 components, my caramelised onion, my piece of broccoli, it's actually green, and my carrot, so we're coming across the plate, and then I have some crackling powder that I made from the crackling, just to go over. Here guys. And that's your finished dish. Okay? Any questions, let me know. You want me to do it again, please let me know and I can. Okay guys, thank you.